that sort of takes us to why we have a market, though, because as your society grows and ranges of expertise are expanded upon, that's when we get into what you're talking about, where it makes sense to have a central location to be able to exchange and trade people's different expertise, because that lumberman might be able to make more than his or her own town needs, but they might need something from another town like ore, and they might be on the coast, so they've got fish, they need ore from somewhere else. You can exchange ore, and this is where supply and demand, the curves, the idea that there are a finite number of fish that are caught, not necessarily that there are a finite number of fish in the world, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, the ocean's pretty big, and we're talking about a civilization of 20 people, so it's pretty much infinite in this case, just for our thought experiment. But the reason we have a marketplace is to bring goods to a single place, because it would be, once again, woefully inefficient to have people going from house to house selling things. And we did do that, and we still do it in some things. You'll see vacuum salesmen, encyclopedia salesmen from the 90s and before that. And, you know, house to house sales is still a thing, believe it or not, because some things are actually more efficient to sell individually. But you need a really big society for there to be a small number of people who need something that doesn't need to be in a marketplace. So generally what we're going to talk about is a market being a place to bring goods to one spot, so that people looking for objects know where to go. Even if they don't know specifically what they want, they know where to go to find anything. And people who have any product know exactly where to go to offload it without having to randomly go from town to town and say, you need wood, you need wood, you need wood, you need wood. Like, so there's an efficiency of the efficiency, and that's sort of where we start getting these tiers of economies.
Sorry.
When talking about security between tribes and things like that, or not tribes, but
small units,
foreign markets, we'll call them, invading and looting, plundering. That to me is fundamentally a sign that those people haven't understood the economic gains of synergy. And that's sort of why I wanted to talk about this today, because a lot of people still have that mentality where we need to kill people who think differently than us. Whereas I believe that all violence and war can be rationalized away, because economics is sound principle. And as long as everybody understood it from the ground up, from this village thought experiment type of way, there would be no reason to rob your neighbor or to rob another marketplace. And I think that's sort of where I was going to take the next step of this was from markets, we're going to develop a system of rules, and rule includes law enforcement and stuff. But those rules are sort of, it's an abstraction from the expertise of the wood gatherer to the expertise of the marketplace, the abstraction of where all goods and experts come to place their markets for sale. A layer of abstraction on top of that would be the rules and adherence to those rules to help a functioning marketplace continue and maintain to function, just like having those segments of your forest rationed to encourage longevity of your wood collecting.
Yeah, no fight air. This is a marketplace where we come to trade. No duels, no fights, no
theft,
wooden
fair
shoes.
Price. But that means we have to agree on things like mediums of exchange, value of goods, rules to returns, false advertising, misleading. All of these types of little tiny minutiae require some person's expertise to manage and maintain and sort of curate, to make sure anytime there is sort of a lopsided balance that it gets corrected.
Well, and as we go, we discovered the way things work differently. Like right now is the perfect time because we're discovering all these new things that these new technologies are allowing us to do. So we have to make new rules. So like gouging in the internet or
privacy rules.
But like in the past, you had like very simple rules. I remember it was was it Lublin or was it Lubeck or the Hanseatic League, where there was a meeting where they weren't allowed to wear clogs because they could be used as a weapon in meetings. So
that's my kind of meeting.
Yeah. So apparently someone had taken off their shoes and beaten somebody to death to death. This is let's not take our modern squeamishness and put that aside for a bit, because trading is you do want to maximize your end of the deal. And so people are going to take advantage of that, because you want to end up with the most efficient, because you know what you want and the other person wants what they want. So you want to make it so that you get the best deal. Now, the best deal in my thought is the one that benefits all parties to the maximum amount, so that you can continue to do business, because business later is more business than just business now, which is why plunder doesn't work. You're doing business.
It's even more important, actually.
Yeah, because if you're a Viking, you're doing business with a hostile territory, and the business is literally just you give me your stuff and I kill you. But the thing is that you can't do business with them, and they won't be able to make more stuff for you to take after that. It's a one-time purchase.
Yeah.
And you are purchasing it, yes, with violence, but you're also risking your life. So it's not without risk, and life also ends. And once you end, you can't do any more trading, and you can't, provide for all your people back in, the north, in Scandinavia there. So it's a bad deal. But if you create relationships and you make it so that no swords. Also, if we find out that you're raiding within any of the, if you make a deal and then you raid the shipment after and get your stuff back, well, okay. So if we find out you did that, we'll break your bench and we'll make you bankrupt, which is where that comes from. So you no longer have a seat at that marketplace when you don't play by the rules. Is essentially what bankrupt meant. And
that's a crucial point of note too, because being ostracized from the marketplace means that you no longer get to benefit from a lot of the efficiencies that the marketplace provides everybody. So the reason the market exists is because it's beneficial to everybody. Like, that's why we all agree to the laws, even though it limits our freedoms to kill other people. At least we don't need to kill any people anymore. So
right.
It's in the whole, it's a greater good than the cost of adherence.